Hello, everybody, and welcome to All Backed Up, a video game SOS. I am your host for the week, Mark, as I'm taking over from the absent Dylan, and I am here with Jack. You alright, Jack?
Hello. Yes, I am. I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm doing okay. That was only a little bit stressful, having to remember how to do that.
I mean, to be fair, like I can't really judge. I haven't done an intro. Well, I did one when I was like, did that one solo episode, and I guess you've done a couple solos, but it's not really the same, I guess.
I re-record my intros on the solo ones like 3 or 4 times before I'm happy with them.
Fair
I
enough.
hit record, start talking, and then immediately hit stop and try again, and I'll do that 3, 4, 5 times before I get into a rhythm that I'm actually happy with it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you haven't got the ability to slow down and just be like, and I'm here with, and then stop talking for a bit, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. Because you actually suddenly realise, wait a minute, I'm all alone.
I'm gonna keep talking by myself. Shit. All right. This is coming in a bit late this week, but that's because everyone's been hella busy.
Yeah.
I have been busy enough that I haven't played a huge amount of my main backlog game I've got on the go at the moment, which is Dark Souls. Not at least enough to make any progress that's worth talking about, or even have a point that's worth talking about. I suspect that might be the case for the entire length of the game, so maybe I'll have to get something else on the go. But I did start playing a different game that's not technically in my backlog, but
Oh
I
yeah.
can talk about. However, I want to hear what you've been playing, Jack, because you've actually got your game fills all of the criteria for all backed up a video game
Oh
SOS.
man, put me under pressure now. But yeah, no, so I guess last week I was talking about how I sort of started playing two games. I mean, I left Darksiders 2 a bit by the wayside, and I sort of focused more on Rage. And yeah, actually, I guess yeah, I've had potentially a bit too much time on my hands, and I've just been fucking playing so many. Oh, I say so many. I've been playing just a bunch of video games, mainly Rage. And yeah, I finished it. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I guess it's a post-apocalyptic shooter through and through. It's got some sort of got some kind of like, I guess it does have a vehicle aspect to it, not perhaps as heavily involved in terms of like the combat side of it. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's like as involved with vehicle combat as perhaps Mad Max was, but there is certainly
Or even as the sequel is.
yeah. Oh,
Have you seen much about the sequel?
I've not. I've sort of. I guess like I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to perhaps go in and play Rage or Rage 2 without actually knowing what anything's about, but going in and actually playing the first one beforehand and maybe getting a general idea of what it could be about. But I've not really seen, like, I saw obviously the trailers that came out about it. I haven't really looked at too much gameplay from it.
Yeah, it looks alright. It seems to me that here, this is a huge digression, but it seems to me that here at the end of what I think we can all agree is basically the end of this current generation of consoles
Yeah.
and the end of this cycle, we are having a bit of fatigue from the kind of video game that has become so prevalent, especially from developers such as like Ubisoft, where like nowadays the games that everyone loses their shit about are games that do something in a either really impressive or really unique and different way. So it's it's people get super hyped about something like, I don't know, Wolfenstein 2 because it's a first person shooter but it's got cool story bits in it, or people get hyped about God of War because it has this visual and story and cinematic presentation to it that's really unique and different. But we as a video game playing like generation now have reached such a saturation, especially in this generation, with just the games where you go about and you clear things off the map and you get into some reasonable combat and you drive around and you unlock towers, that things like Days Gone and
Yeah.
Rage 2
Yeah. Fair enough.
are
Yeah.
both reviewing quite poorly or like quite middlingly. But then you have sort of the less critical focused outlets sort of coming through and saying, actually no, these games are pretty good. But I think it's this weird thing where now, as like, I know you and I and Dylan and Shaw have all spoken about it at length, it's this idea that you want a game now to give you something new and different, because I've played
Yeah.
a bunch of Assassin's Creeds and a bunch of Far Cries and we play more games than the average person, which I think means that now when games like Rage 2 and Days Gone are coming out, and they're just competent video games that follow that known archetype. They don't necessarily get your blood pumping as much as something super cool and weird and different as you sort of have to go for now. So I wonder. Basically, what I'm saying is I would actually be really interested for you to play Rage 2, especially so quick off the heels of Rage 1, because everything I've heard about Rage 2 makes it sound like totally competent, but not necessarily like outlandish. And so,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
I don't know.
I think yeah. I guess it would be one of those like it's I guess safe. It's a safe option for video game developers to fall back on. And I guess yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just feels as if it feels as if a lot of games nowadays, like you basically summed it up perfectly. But yeah, it feels like they're all sort of not straying too far from the ordinary, and I guess sometimes it may just end up being a really like mundane experience, and not really perhaps providing what I guess us as a video game audience expect or actually want from video game developers. But you know,
They're not pushing the boundaries yet. They need
no,
something.
definitely not.
Something needs to come out that changes the way that developers are thinking about making video games. And we are. What is interesting is I think we have not yet seen the true magnitude of the impact that Breath of the Wild will have had on video games.
Mm.
I've heard some interesting comparisons with Breath of the Wild with games like Days Gone and other things in very, very small mechanical ways. And we are at the 2 years, it's been 2 years and 3 months, I guess, since Breath of the Wild came out. I think we should start to expect to see in the next 6 months to a year games starting to come out that are really relying on, instead of that like go to the tower to unlock the icons, get this item to do this kind of thing, that more Breath of the Wild style systematic find, like you can only go to what you have to, if you want to unlock something you have to see it and mark it on your map, and if you want to get through something you don't have to go and get the key, you have to work out this systemic interactions of chemistry and physics and all the other cool things that Breath of the Wild did. And I think my personal feeling, especially with how popular like survival games are and other things, my personal feeling is that like that will be the next evolution. It will be like the next step on the Far Cry model, but instead of it being climbing a tower to unlock the map and crafting things from recipes, it's going to be like climbing a tower to give you a viewpoint to spot things you want to see, and unlocking things by like you get a pelt and some other bits and you just combine them and then you get this or whatever. Like I think it's going to be more of like a systemic interaction. I don't know. I think there's some cool stuff there as like the next step, but like with the way things like Rage 2 and Days Gone are being reviewed, you have to wonder what is the future of that kind of game, because it feels like people are just getting less and less interested about it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, like for what it is, and considering what is it like? Rage came out in what 2008, 2009, I think.
2000,
2010.
yeah,
Sorry.
something.
But yeah,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
like
I'd believe that.
it's, for what it is, I think it's a perfectly, it's a perfectly capable game of doing what it's set out to do. At least this first one, this first I guess iteration, and I guess like the second one really has no association with it. But yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic shooter, and yeah, I guess it's in your backlog, so I don't want to go like too much into the detail of what actually happens throughout the game and as it goes on. But yeah, I mean, it's got a good variety of guns that get introduced into the game, and as I mentioned
Talk
on
to me about the guns.
well, as I mentioned on like the last episode, you obviously get like different. I guess you get different ammo types for the same weapon, so it will have like. I guess instead of maybe introducing a massive pool of weapons, they sort of maybe limited it to I think about 7 or 8. But at the same time, because you have, I think there's like 2 or 3 different ammo options per gun that you can actually pick up, and then that sort of just introduces a whole different. I guess it basically makes the gun act in a different way. And I
Mm.
guess like as
So
I
what kind of ammo
mentioned,
types are we talking here? Like, what are
so
the effects you're putting on these bullets?
so you have a pistol, which you can. I think you just have like standard ammo with the pistol. So the pistol's the first gun that you get. And then you also have these Fat Boy rounds, which is what they're actually called, which I just think is brilliant. But they're sort of, I guess, more of your like, they do more damage in like some of the very early enemies that you encounter whilst using that ammo. It's like just a one-shot kill. So stuff like that. I think like the shotgun as well has got some pretty cool ammunition variants. I think you've got just your standard shotgun ammo, and then you've also got like I think they call it like a charge ammunition, or like one of this. I think it's like the shock ammo, but it basically turns your shotgun into something that shoots out basically like a ball of blue electricity, and it would just go in a straight line.
Fucking sick.
So stuff like that. I mean, like I mentioned last week, about the about you get a crossbow as well, and you can equip like an electro bolt onto your crossbow and then shoot it into the water to electrocute enemies that are stood in the water. But also, I went through. There's some points in the game where you'll see like a door will be shut and there will be like a box on the side of it, and it's got like a electrocution or whatever the danger high voltage sign on the side of
Mm.
it, and you're like, well, I need to get in there obviously because I can see that there's a path for me to get in there, but I don't know how to get there. And I just randomly pulled out my I think it works with any electrical ammo, but if you just fire I guess like a charge shot at that little box, then it will actually open up the door. And I was like, you know what, for what again, like for a game that's that old and has actually like these sort of, I guess, like kind of really weird quirks in the world and the way that
Mm.
your weapons can actually interact with the world, I think that that was like a really cool touch. But yeah, I mean, like one of the um one of the later weapons that you unlock on one of the last couple of levels is actually really cool. um but yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I guess like the ending of the game wasn't what I expected it to be. Um,
I've heard that the ending's really weird.
yeah, like
I don't remember now. I remember when it came out, a bunch of podcasts I was listening to were like, whoa, this game's got a weird ending. I don't remember what happens though.
yeah, like I didn't. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Really, it's like I just didn't expect it. But yeah, like apart from that, I mean, yeah, I guess like I say, like you unlock. So you have your vehicle and you can go around, and I think there are some races that you can compete in, and it's sort of, I guess like that aspect of the game was fairly like easy to get through. Like the races aren't really that hard to actually like get past. It has some weird sort of faux pas card game in it. I'm not really sure about it. Like I don't really know why they added it in there. It doesn't, for me, really add anything to the game.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean they also have the I guess you can sit. I was gonna say, oh, they have the Red Dead, put your hand on the table and then do the knife game thing, but I guess it's not really.
Five Finger Fillet,
Yeah, I guess it. When did Red Dead One get released? I guess was
2009.
fair enough. Okay, before I was gonna say, can I really call it a Red Dead thing? If it, yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I think you can just call it a cowboy thing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
fair
I'm
enough.
not. I'm
Yeah.
not sure Red Dead came up with that as a concept. I don't mean I don't know, but
But yeah. I guess that's the first recollection I can have of it actually being used in the video game. I guess. But yeah, they've got that
I always
in.
call it the thing from Aliens because
Ah,
that's what
yes.
Bishop does at
Okay.
the beginning of Aliens.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
No, but yeah, I mean, like they have that in the game, and I guess it's like again, it's just I don't know, it's just it's there, but you don't really get anything. I mean, you can use it as a way to like increase, or obviously you can bet money on it, and then you can get more coins from doing it that way. But I don't like you get enough. It's not like you don't get enough money in the game to do what you need to do with like, and you can just completely avoid doing any of this side gimmicky stuff if you want. But yeah, like this card game is I don't know, it's a really weird fucking concept. I don't really understand it too much. You just go into one of I think you go into the bar in one of the main places, and there's just someone sat down at what looks to be, for me it looked like she was sat at like a blackjack table, and
Right.
then it just turned into, hey look, you can buy this deck of cards for like $20, and then I'll teach you how to play. And it's like some weird game. I don't know. Like I didn't really find it that exciting. Again, like I say, it's I don't feel like it was necessary for it to actually be in the game. Um, but yeah, I guess the main thing that I sort of found frustrating at times was the fact that there was no like there's you so you obviously have you will have your mini map that will be in the corner of your screen, and you can use that quite effectively to get around different areas, but there's no actual like button that you press that would actually bring up like the full map of the region.
What?
Yeah,
So you
so
just like can't see it?
like I guess you'll so when you go through your whenever you highlight a mission in your mission menu, it will give you like a marker of where to go to get to that mission, and it will sort of guide you where you need to go as well when you're out and driving around in your car. But there's no sort of like overarching map that you can access and say, oh well, I need to go to this place, but I don't actually remember where that place is, and I also have no longer got the mission that told me I need to go to that place, so I'm just going to drive around for a bit and maybe try and get there and figure it out. Like, it was. I don't know what they were trying to do with that. Maybe mimic, oh, post-apocalyptic world, and you don't really know your way around. I don't know. Maybe it was just developers not not really committing to putting a map into it. I'm not too sure, but I get like it was.
Yeah, that's weird.
That was probably the most frustrating thing about the game, because there'd certainly be points where I, even though I'd have a mission highlighted, it wouldn't. Because when you're in like the different towns that you can visit, if your mission is to find someone in that town, it doesn't act like your minimap doesn't show up when you're in the town. It will just be like, oh, so you have to go and find such and such, and they're hiding out in this place, and you'll be looking around for eight, or certainly the first time that I got to, I think it was Wellspring, I think it's called, which is I
Okay.
think the first main city that, or the first main town that you get to, but I kept going back there, and it was like, oh, yeah, you have to hunt down Jordan in the bar. And for the longest amount of time, when you first get there, there's not really an obvious, unless you're actually looking at the signs, which I wasn't when I first started playing it. It takes some time to get used to where everything is. I guess after playing it a couple of times and you actually go around and walk around a bit, you actually get to know what the area is like and where everything is. But it took me a long time to actually find where the sheriff's office was, and like I couldn't find it for the longest time, and I was like, am I in the right place? Like I don't know where the fuck I'm going. And yeah, it's just tiny stuff like that. I mean, in terms of like the actual like gunplay and getting into fighting situations, it was actually really cool. I liked the way that the enemies wouldn't just I guess sometimes they'd shy away behind cover, but a lot of the time they'd actually run at you and actually make you like sort of, I guess, act on your feet, because there would be a lot of occasions where you'd walk into a room and the door would close behind you, and it would be like, oh shit, in order to progress you've actually got to beat these group of guys that are coming at you, and are not just going to stop because you're shooting at them.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I mean, apart from all of those sort of issues with there not being a map, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually, yeah, I really enjoyed playing the game.
That's awesome. I'm super into. I don't know. I think the weapon stuff sounds like most appealing to me.
Mm.
I think like the weapons and the different ammos and the different ways you can use those to interact with the world, and almost the ways that the game encourages you to use those different ammo types to activate things and trigger effects and interact with the game world more. I think that's really cool. Actually, I always love a good alternate fire, even if sometimes it's squandered. That was some of the coolest stuff about. I mean, to pick another Doom game, or to pick another id game, that most recent Doom, Doom 2016, obviously,
Yeah.
is all about the alternate fire, and it's maybe not different ammo types, but it's different ways of. As you said, it allows them to have a focused group of guns. You have to go. We've got like, okay, we've got 7 guns. Each one fills a particular niche, and then each one also has a way of opening up how it can be used. So, like, obviously that Doom was like, well, we've got the shotgun, and that's a shotgun, but then if you get the grenade launcher thing for it, then you get a bit of explosive damage and you can get a bit of area of effect on it. Or if you get the slug thing for it that does like rapid shots, you can make it like a bit more of a accurate kind of thing, and less spread and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. That's actually a bunch of different reviews for Rage 2 mentioned the shotgun in Rage 2 being a really good shotgun and having like a good alternate fire. Well, like the primary fire is a good shotgun blast and the alternate fire is like a more long ranged thing. So like I'm really into that idea of having weapons and like fulfill different combat spaces with different like alternate fires on them. And I think like the electric stuff and the way the electric stuff can interact with the environment is really promising. I know a big thing that was being marketed when Rage was coming out was how you could like electrocute puddles of water and it would shock dudes in it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all that stuff is fucking cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it because, as I said, I do have it installed, whatever that actually means. I've got loads of games installed. I don't even play the fucking things, but I do have it installed.
Yeah.
And I would like to play it as someone who considers themselves a fan of id.
Yeah.
And the games that id has made.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the only bit of advice that I could give you in terms of playing it is just remember to like stock up on your bandages and ammunition and stuff when you go into like areas that are, I guess, potentially going to be these parts where you'll get secluded. And I guess you could always like jump out of that area, but once you get so far into it, it's like you sort of feel like you just want to continue, and then there's no point in really turning around. And also save. Like, I cannot stress, like, I think that the last couple of missions I would enter a room and then there would be a bunch of guys and then I'd clear that room and then get out that room and then pause, save, and then continue on, because I guess it doesn't, like, the checkpointing is okay, but there's so many times where if you're, like I say, like if you go into one bit of a mission and then you'll get, I don't know, halfway through it and you'll die, and then it will reset you all the way back to the start of the mission, and that just really pissed me off so much. I think yeah, if you counteract that and if you save, then it will reset back to your latest save point. But yeah,
right.
It really bugged me a couple of times, so I sort of made it a point of whenever I was like gonna go off and do something else, I'd pause it, save, just in case.
Always be saving.
It pretty much.
Always be saving. Did you get into any points where you accidentally saved with like? Is this a quick save or like just a state save?
Just standard state save.
Okay, yeah, because like I always think it's funny with like the quick save, where you just like tapping F6 or whatever as you're playing. you can get yourself into some really bad spots with that, where like you're so used to just hitting it the moment you kill the last enemy because like I'm done here or whatever.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you can press it like and we've only got like 2 health or something stupid like that. And it's like, oh no, I'm actually fucked. Damn it, I've quick saved with no health, and then it like turns the whole thing into a whole extra different kind of challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I say, apart from the stuff that I've said, that was a bit about it. Actually, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, man.
Do you think you'll be picking up the sequel?
I do, but I don't know when. Is the only thing. Like
when it goes on a deep sale.
Oh, yeah, like 100%, yeah.
Yeah, when it gets halved in price or whatever.
Yeah.
When it, totally. Well, how much is it? It's 40 quid now, which like might be a lot. I don't know.
I mean, like considering the price point that a lot of new games come out at, it's okay, but it's still like I'm not gonna pay 40 quid for that game at the moment. So yeah, I think hold off until it maybe I guess I don't know. Like I guess it depends on like if it drops to 20 quid fairly recent, like fairly soonish, which I doubt it will. Then maybe it might be worth a look at. But yeah, I guess until then I'll hold off on it.
I guess there's a lot of reviews here that are like, it's not very long story, like it's got a short story, that kind of thing. Whatever. Like it sounds, as we've discussed, it sounds like it's probably quite similar in a lot of ways to its predecessor, which is just like a totally fine, competent game.
Yeah.
With like a couple of interesting bits and a couple of bits that maybe let it down, and maybe not that one super special something that makes you want to be like, everyone needs to play it. You know?
Yeah.
Does that make
exactly.
sense?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. But yeah, like I say, it's I mean, I would recommend playing the first one, even if you don't have any intention on sitting down and actually purchasing the second one or playing the second one anytime soon. I'd recommend playing that first one.
I probably will at some point.
Fair enough.
It's mate.
I look forward to it.
The best laid plans. I intend to play most games, but we'll see how that fucking goes. Jesus.
Oh,
I've got a Steam library full of games I intend to play. 260 of the fucking
Oh
things.
shit. Oh shit. So you said you haven't really been playing too much Dark Souls then. So what is this game that is not in your backlog but technically you've been playing it for the last couple of weeks?
I had a couple of hours to kill
Okay.
last week, and then a couple of hours to kill when I got back from Edinburgh, and both times was like I didn't really have enough time to sit down and get into, because like Dark Souls, I feel like you kind of need like 3 hours or so really, like to feel like you're doing anything worthwhile. Because like when I say a couple of hours to kill, I mean like I've put some laundry on, and then in 40 minutes I have to get up and sort laundry out, and then in 40 minutes after that I have to start cooking. Kind of like I got a couple of hours to kill, but I've got other shit to do around it, so I can't really get into like a good Dark Souls zone. So I was looking for something I could play in the background while watching some telly maybe, and I ended up playing through the first half of Half-Life 2 again.
Of course.
It's been about a year. I like to play it, like once a year.
Yeah,
I can
fair enough.
get through that game in about 6 hours at this point if I know if I'm having a good run.
Just
It's
beat
not.
on it, yeah.
Yeah, like I've played it enough that I kind of know. I know my way through all the areas. I know the best strategies to get through the bits. But it's like putting on like an old jumper that's really comfortable. Like it's such a good comfort game for me. I know every single corner of it inside and out. I know every single little nook and cranny and detail of it, and it's just fun to go and play Half-Life 2. So yeah, I was watching some telly and I smashed out. I'm like halfway through Ravenholm, which is about halfway through the game, give or take.
Yeah, it's just after Black Mesa, is it?
Yeah, mate, it's maybe a third of the way through. Yeah, it's just a Black Mesa, and then they obviously then do like you do Highway 17 and Nova Prospect, and then you do the city and the Citadel. So I guess it's probably about a third of the way through, all told,
enough.
maybe.
I mean...
Yeah, but you just bashed it out. It's fun. Like I said, it's like putting on an old jumper or something. It's comforting to play Half-Life 2.
You know it's not going to let you down. So
yeah, basically I do.
I mean,
I don't know. I think that game's really fucking good.
yeah, I mean, I certainly haven't played that game in a long time. But yeah, I guess it's one of those where it's just like, again, it's not technically on your backlog, but I guess it's like it's one of the games that it's just like I feel like it's something that like the next way, like the next generation is not going to appreciate.
Not at all.
Like, and
it's an interesting one. Sorry.
I was just going to say, like, it really disappoints me that they will not appreciate how good of a game it is.
Yeah, like it's on like the Half-Life subreddit, which is like a dying subreddit, sadly. But what do you expect? There is. It is a fairly common refrain. People are like, "Oh, I've just played Half-Life 2 for the first time. I don't like it's all right, but I don't really get the hype." It's been like, yeah, Half-Life 2 now. When you look at it, it's pretty bare and barren and like bald-faced in how like there's physics puzzles and all these other bits and pieces. But like it, as something it did, it was such a moment in video games. It kind of went from like. Games had some physicsy stuff in, and they had some facial animation in, and they did some stuff with all these different like graphics and lighting technologies and other stuff. And then Half-Life 2 came out and was just like, right, we're going to have facial animation that is still some of the best. Like the faces in Half-Life 2 still look as good as the faces in a lot of modern video games in a way that is fucking insane, especially because it's in-engine. None of it's pre-rendered.
Yeah.
Like obviously the pre-rendered cutscenes in Uncharted or whatever look like actual real human beings basically. But like when you're just in game and you walk into a room and like Alex Vance looks at you and she emotes like a human and all her face moves in the exact right way and all this other shit, like it's crazy how good that shit looks. And then obviously all the physics stuff and the gravity gun and like the Source engine, all the cool stuff that Half-Life 2 did for like video games. It was like, in my memory of playing games before and after Half-Life 2, it was an inflection point. And there are still games that I don't necessarily think do stuff as well as Half-Life 2 did it. And I think it's a fucking cool game. And I love playing it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna like argue. I'm not gonna argue about it being a cool game because it is a fucking cool game.
And I think it's absolutely inspired for them to give you the gravity gun and then send you to Ravenholm and be like, right, here's this big town full of zombies and saw blades and explosive barrels. Just fucking blow shit up, and it's cool. It's full of little decisions like that I think make the whole thing come together into a really impressively cohesive package. I just think it's rad. But yes, I'm going to make some dinner after we record this, and I'm going to vote, and then I plan to play some Dark Souls this evening. So hopefully, next time we record, I will have a little bit more actual video games under my belt, which would be good.
I mean, like, I guess, like, what, like, for me, just the fact that, like, obviously, like, Half-Life 2 is a brilliant game in itself, but I just, the amount of, like, mods and shit that people have done to it man. Like late on still, and the way that it's still like holding its own in that sort of respect is just phenomenal. Like,
it's so cool.
Yeah, like I absolutely love it. I mean, yeah, I don't know, mate.
I will play some Left 4 Dead right now. Right, you fucking will play some Left 4 Dead. Let's go. I don't have to do all those things I just said I do. Like, you want to talk about shit? Yeah, like everything around Half-Life and like all the shit that came from it, like Counter-Strike, and like I know Left 4 Dead wasn't technically a mod, but it does always feel like a sort of sister product to me in the same way that like Counter-Strike and Team Fortress was. But
yeah,
I just like Portal as well. All the stuff around that era of Valve, the sort of pre-Dota era, I guess. Not to put all the blame on Dota, but like before Dota, when they were just knocking out all these cool fucking games, it was very cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I guess
very cool.
I don't think. I guess yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything that has been that like impactful since, and had like such a large influence on video games.
I wonder, like I said, if Breath of the Wild will be it.
Yeah.
I think some of the design decisions from late 2000s to early 2010s Ubisoft games, I think, like Assassin's Creed 2 and Far Cry 3, probably in terms of game design, I think will have made... I think there is stuff that games do now that we consider just like old hat that was revolutionary in those games. Some of the stuff that I guess Modern Warfare, like COD 4 did, is pretty incredible, especially for multiplayer. But I think just in terms of like, from my perspective, a game that just like completely redefined what it means to interact with a virtual world and make a virtual world. Because even then, like the Call of Duty games are still a roller coaster, right? Like you don't necessarily interact with those worlds too much as the world interacts with you, and shit happens around you. Whereas like Half-Life is all about picking up stuff, moving stuff around, being right there, first person, up close with people, having those slow moments to look at these gorgeously animated faces. It's all about that kind of shit that I think, I don't know, it's just this very impressive piece of software still, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But also, I am somewhat of a Half-Life fanboy, even now, after being betrayed for like 10 years.
Oh, God
damn. 12 years. It's been 12 years. It will be 12 years in October.
Oh, shit. Okay. Fuck.
Since Half-Life 2 Episode 2. 12 years. That's madness.
Goddamn fucking Gabe Newell.
Yeah. There have been, like... almost 2 whole video game like console generations since then.
Yeah.
It's madness.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one day, man, but I'm not holding out hope anymore.
Me neither. Not since there was that Epistle 3 thing that Mark Laidlaw put out. Yeah. Such a huge cliffhanger as well. Like, oh my god. The end of episode 2 is a massive cliffhanger.
Oh, fuck, man. I don't know, like,
It's wild.
I feel like it's been too long. It's the
Oh
thing.
yeah, it's been way
Like,
too long.
If it wasn't gonna come out, it would have come out ages ago, which is the most
Yeah.
like annoying thing about it all.
Yeah, totally. Like it won't come out, or at least if a new Half-Life thing comes out, I'd be very, very surprised how much it actually continued the lineage. You know. Hey ho. I don't know. Do you want to call that a pod?
Yeah, man. I feel like we've spoke, especially considering it's just 2 of us. You know, we spoke for what, coming up to 40 minutes, which isn't too bad.
I'll take that. That's beautiful, mate. That's the magic right there.
Oh man.
It's that old school shit. Oh, finals on the internet.
Yeah, do it yourself.
Low Expectations Media on the YouTubes. And shouting, all backed up. A Video Game SOS on the SoundClouds. Get over there. Follow us and like us and leave a comment. What?
Like, rate, subscribe.
Yes. That's the one. Get on the SoundCloud. SoundCloud is cool. I like SoundCloud. They have a clean interface, which I appreciate.
Yeah, man.
Well, Jack, I think we should say goodbye because it is Thursday and I have to go vote.
Oh shit, yeah. I still need to do that as well.
Well, luckily the polls are open till 10.
Yep. Yeah.
Alright, mate.
Alright, catch you later, dude.
Bye.
Bye, guys.